Let me go over some of the questions though. Let me scroll up. So VSS, I think the VSS is the best gun in the game. I just don't use it because I think it's too strong and I don't enjoy using it. It's personal preference. If you want to use a VSS, I applaud you to do so. It's your choice. It is a amazing gun right now, and it will pretty much make all the content much easier. And you'll also stand a chance against players. Personally, I just don't enjoy using the gun. So, like, although I have it, I just don't use it. I mean, I do use it from time to time, but it's not my preference. Like, I don't like to use it. I normally use it when I'm angry. That's the only way that I can put it. When I'm angry, yeah, when I'm angry, I use it. Rage VSS gameplay. What was the other question? Bear with me.
What's your favorite Bad Dragon product?
I have no idea. Right. You've got the VSS, Seeker Exoskeleton, and Worn Reap, also Hellboy Backpack. Like I said, you want to start like, in my opinion, you should start working towards a container to make, like, proper artifact builds. And for armors, I did go over it before about how I love the Scat 9, because I think it's just got the most all-around stats. But if you don't want to go with a Scat 9, if for example you go for, like, let's say the goal is a damaged Centurion, if you look at a Legionnaire, you'll see that you can have every backpack. So if you want to make a Legionnaire, you can go and make a KSZ5, and you can have like a 5 artifact build with the Legionnaire armor. But if you plan to go for, let's say, the damaged Centurion, which we can look here, it can only use light backpacks or compact and standard containers. So, knowing that information, if you want to go for a damaged Centurion, you're limited to the KZS1 or the KZS2. Or you have to make a cocoon. So before making an armor like the damaged Centurion, you need to make sure you know what you can, like, use with it, right? I hope that makes sense. So if I wanted to go for a combo armor and I plan to go all the way to the end, well, it can use light backpacks, or it's compatible with every container except bulky one. So if I use the Pilgrim, I know that I can use the Bear's Den, or I can use the Cocoon. So I would make sure that I had one of these backpacks first before I make the armor. I didn't know that with backpacks. That's my point. Like, the Hellboy backpack works great, but it doesn't work with every armor. Like, you can't use it on every armor. And also, artifacts give you a lot more flexibility on what you can do. Like, you can have 2 artifacts in this, but the inner protection is 60, so, you know, you're probably not going to be using the best artifacts that you can have in it. Whereas a Bear's Den, you know, 70%. Obviously, the downside is this is bulky. So, you can't run this on a damaged Centurion or a Pilgrim, or I don't know about Science Armor. Hold on. You said you're at the Worn Reaper, which is the Siva equivalent. Yeah. So you can't run bulky ones on this again. So if you go for combat, you got to work towards a cocoon. Obviously, you don't, like, this is another thing. You don't have to make the damaged Centurion. You can make Legionnaire armor and just stick with this. This will work for now. That's a good, like, point to go to. Like, you don't have to go and make the cocoon, and you don't have to make the damaged Centurion. Just, in my opinion, if you make a damaged Centurion, you also want to make sure that you can make a cocoon. Otherwise, your build might not live up. So once you've got your armors, like, down, then I'd start looking at other guns. Like, if you've got the VSS already, Dan, then, you know, start looking at, like, what bag and armor you want. That would be my suggestion. Because that's, like, kind of, like, where you're pushing into endgame. Let me have a look. Do you think Scat 9 is the best armor? Many say Scat 9 is good for PvE and Centurion for PvP. Scat 9 is good for everything, in my opinion. The Scat 9 allows you to use the KZS5, which is 5 artifacts with 90% effectiveness. So you can build a very strong build with a Scat 9. Of course, the Damage Centurion is for is good for PvP because it has, you know, a naturally high bullet resistance. You know, its base resistance is 171 bullet res. So, you know, for PvP, you can just stack on more vitality for more health, or even, you know, even slap on more bullet resistance. So it does have that advantage in PvP. However, if you don't have a lot of time to play, then you can just make a Scat 9 and a KZS5, and you can pretty much make any, you know, you can make the equivalent of it. Pretty sure the purple story armor you can get better than Legionnaire, and you can use any backpack too, I think. You're talking about, hold on. So, exoskeleton. Now, I did say this before. Exoskeletons are awesome. But the main story one, you can use any backpack, but you can only use compact containers. So you can't... Hold on. You can't even use a cocoon on the exoskeleton. The only one you can use is... Hold on. You can use a bear's den, because it's its own thing. And then you can use this. So with the exoskeleton, if you want to go for like artifact builds, you can't even use the bear's den on the exoskeleton. You're stuck with the KZS. So this is, I mean, you can use the Hellboy backpack on it. So it's not bad. This is what you'd call like this is mid game, right? If you're running an exoskeleton with a Hellboy, I'm gonna say it's very good. It gets you to where you need to be, right? This is mid game. This is where you start to push into the end game. You can go up north of this and be fine, right? You get bio protection 2, you get rad 2, you get good resistance, you get good bullet resistance, you get good explosive protection. You have decent melee protection on top of it, so you're fine against mutants. Like, this is a good build. I feel like this is overrated. You get the extra, you know, stuff. If I was going to use this, I'd probably go... Honestly, I'd probably have goldfish and then something else. I can't think of what I had. But when I used this, it was goldfish and something, I don't know. I think I actually ran Vayner for the even more bullet resistance, but... Yeah. Point is, you can make decent builds with this as well. But if you're at this point and you want to start working on stuff, before you go off and make loads of crazy guns to try them all out, you probably want to look at, you know, making a plan. What armor am I going to make? What bag am I going to use, right? I use frame and spiral at the moment on Hellboy. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of builds you can do with it, but the way that I can put it is they're not going to live up to someone that has a damage Centurion. Like, the order that you would go, Dan, from where you are now is, what route do I want to take? Like, get a plan, if that makes sense. Like, if I want to work towards the Scat 9, where am I at? Where have I got to go, right? So if I'm here, I need this. And this is compatible with any bag, so I don't necessarily need a container. But if I want to have a decent build, I can, you know, if I have to go back somewhere, I can start working on this now, right? Like, if I have to go to the graveyard, why don't I pick up the remains and the beta data while I'm there? If I'm in the bar, why don't I grab all of, you know, this stuff, make the backpack, and then start experimenting with builds. The only downside to going for the KZS5 is artifacts. Like, generally, like, you need artifacts. They can be expensive. It can be a little bit irritating to get the right ones, especially when the negatives come into effect. You know, like, if you have 2 artifacts that are negative bio, and then you go over 1 bio, you constantly take bio damage, so obviously that doesn't work. So it's more of finding the path that you're comfortable with. My advice, like I said in my in that video about I like this armor, is to go for the Scat 9. I know that I'm not using it this very second, but that purely is just because I'm surrounded by Freedom members, and I'm trying to farm in a big open area, so I'm trying to be as beefy so I can have more of a reaction. But yeah, if you've got a VSS already, before you've even made your armors, you're in a good position. You're in a very good position to just go, you know what? I'm going to go for this armor. I'm going to go farm it. And then, yeah. I was thinking about actually crafting the spanner. How expensive is the spanner now? I have looked at it, but it is just expensive. Yeah, there's only things on the market. I have looked at working towards it. But yeah. Because I want to make a healing build because I think it'd be funny. Like, I think it'd be quite fun to have a healing build. Yeah. I still don't have good armor. I have the Mockingbird and my bar is still at 4. Where can I push my bar to the quickest? You have to go to the army warehouse, mats, to farm. Each schematic is around 500k. I'd make the AH5 over the spanner, to be honest. In my opinion, I'd make both. But I'm a degenerate and have way too much time on my hands. So my goal is to make everything, like I said. So that's where I go from. Hopefully that answered most questions. I do want to farm.